Hello everyone, hope you all are doing good. Today we'll begin a new chapter that is print culture and the modern world. If we talk about today, it's really difficult to imagine a world without print. Whether we see the books, journals, newspapers, prints of famous paintings, theater programs, pamphlets, calendars, diaries. We have print everywhere. We take print or the world of print as granted and often forget that there was a time before print. Now, we need to understand what is the history of print, how print evolved, how it helped to create the modern world. The topics in today's video lesson are the first printed books and print in Japan. After this video lesson, you would be able to tell about calligraphy, discuss the emergence of print, name the oldest Japanese book, and tell about the introduction of hand printing technology in Japan. Let's talk about the earliest kind of print technology. The earliest kind of print technology developed in China, Japan, and Korea. And it was a system of hand printing. Woodblock printing was used from AD 594. So woodblock printing was like stamp today. If you compare it with stamps today. So similarly, in woodblock, letters, designs, or paintings used to be carved, and with ink on the surface rubbed on the paper, the printing was done. Another feature of the earliest kind of print technology was Chinese accordion book. It was like continuous folded paper with one end stitched. And another feature was calligraphy. Today also you would have heard about calligraphy, the art of stylized writing. At first talk about accordion book. You can see the picture here. A book consisting continuous folded sheet of paper. The traditional Chinese accordion book was folded and stitched at the side. And this was the format mostly in which the books were printed. Now you see calligraphy, you can see the art of beautiful and stylized writing. Superbly skilled craftsmen used to duplicate with remarkable accuracy, like one book handwritten, and thereafter people used to copy in a beautiful and stylized manner. And this was one of the most demanding profession in the age before the age of print. Let's talk about the imperial state of China. So China was undoubtedly the torchbearer in the print culture, and eventually print started and spread from China. So it was the major producer of printed material. Now the question comes, what is the reason behind it? We all know that necessity is the mother of all invention. So of course, the circumstances, the situations in China were conducive to push forward the print technology. The first reason was high bureaucratic system. There was presence of bureaucracy, and due to huge bureaucratic system, it became the need of the country for their recruitment. So the recruitment selection of personnel through civil services examinations. So very important, keep in mind that civil services examinations started in China, and for their recruitment printed material was required. Printing of textbooks sponsored by the imperial state, an increase in the number of examinations by 16th century. So as we move forward, by 16th century, the number of examinations increased, and that demanded print culture. And another point is the blooming and the emergence of urban culture. Cities developed and urban culture developed, which helped the print culture in China. Now, emergence of urban culture by 17th century. Print diversified. The diversification of print started in the 17th century. New ways were developed, and it was not limited to scholar officials. Initially, printing was limited to scholar officials. Only the scholars, the educated people, and the officers, they used to use print technology. However, by the 17th century, it popularized, and it was not limited to scholar officials. Merchants started using print for trade information, and reading became a leisure activity. People started reading books in their leisure time. New readership preferred fictional narratives, poetry, autobiographies, anthology of literary masterpieces, and romantic plays. So new type of books started, and people started reading different varieties of books. Rich women began to read. Wives of scholar officials published their work. So, as a leisure activity, rich women started reading with the comfort living in their homes. Now, we'll talk about a gradual shift from hand printing to mechanical printing in the late 19th century. So, in the late 19th century, reading culture accompanied by a new technology, import of Western printing techniques and mechanical presses. So, here you might be thinking that why import of Western printing techniques and mechanical presses, as printing started in China. However, the printing technology, the mechanical printing process developed in the Western countries. That we'll discuss in the next unit. So it's started in China. However, later on, the mechanical printing developed in the Western countries. And that is why in the 19th century, Western printing techniques and mechanical presses were imported. Establishment of outposts in China by the Western powers. So the reasons are very clear that the Western powers established their outposts in China and started ruling over China, and this helped in the transfer of print technology to China. Western style schools developed at Shanghai, and Shanghai became the hub of the new print culture. So we have got all these points related to the shift from hand printing to mechanical printing in the late 19th century. And in fact, if we talk about print revolution, so print revolution is the shift from hand printing to mechanical printing. So reading culture accompanied by a new technology, import of Western printing techniques and mechanical presses, establishment of outposts in China by the Western powers, Western style schools at Shanghai, and finally Shanghai became the hub of the new print culture. So these are the most important points that you would need to elaborate. Now, observe this picture. So this is a page from the Diamond Sutra. We'll talk about it. So print in Japan. We have already discussed about print in China. Now, in the earliest development, it was also Japan where printing started. Hand printing introduced by Buddhist monasteries. In Buddhist monasteries, hand printing was started. People started printing by hand. And hand printing was started around AD 768 to 770. Right? So this was the period when hand printing started in Japan. The oldest Japanese book that was printed was Diamond Sutra, which was printed in AD 868. And printing on textiles, playing cards, and paper money. So other forms of printing and other ways in which printing was used in Japan was printing on textiles, playing cards, and paper money. And eventually, in the medieval Japan, there was abundance of cheap books. So with the development and innovation in print, the prices of books decreased. Now, several interesting publishing practices started in Japan. These are the points. Printing of visual materials like pictures started getting printed in Japan. Flourishing urban circles at Edo. Edo was the old name of Tokyo, which is the capital of Japan. So in Edo, at Edo, urban circles developed and flourished. An urban culture, like we discussed in China, similarly in Japan, at Edo, urban circles, urban culture developed. Illustrated collections of paintings depicting urban culture. How was the urban life? The contemporary life was portrayed, was shown through paintings. and those were great illustrated collections. Illustrated means with designs, with pictures and examples. Libraries and bookstores packed with hand printed materials. As the printed materials started getting published more and more, libraries and bookstores started getting packed with hand printed materials. Types of hand printed materials: books on women, musical instruments, calculations, tea ceremony, flower arrangements, proper etiquettes and manners, cooking, and famous places. So, all became the part of hand printing, all became the part of printing. And these were the interesting publishing practices in Japan. Now, you can see this picture, observe this picture. This is of Tripitaka Korean, belonging to the mid 13th century. Printing woodblocks of the Tripitaka Korean are a Korean collection of Buddhist scriptures. Scriptures means holy books. They were engraved on about 80,000 woodblocks. They were inscribed on the UNESCO Memory of the World Register in 2007. So, now another source here, that is about Kitagawa Otamaro, born in Edo in 1753, was widely known for his contributions to an art form called Ukiyo. This is an important one-mark question. Pictures of the floating world, or depiction of ordinary human experiences, especially urban ones. The world which is not real, the floating world, those experiences were shown in the pictures. These prints traveled to contemporary US and Europe and influenced artists like Manet, Monet, and Van Gogh. Publishers like Tsutaya Yuzaburo identified subjects and commissioned artists who drew the theme in outline. Then a skilled woodblock carver pasted the drawing on a woodblock and carved a printing block to reproduce the painter's lines. In the process, the original drawing would be destroyed and only prints would survive. So, somebody, the skilled one, prepared the painting and thereafter it was carved on woodblock and further printing used to be done. You can see a painting here in the picture, and Ukiyo print by Kitagawa Otamaro. As seen here, a morning scene Ukiyo print by Shunman Kobo, late 18th century. This is also an Ukiyo print. You can see here a man looks out of the window at the snowfall while women prepare tea and perform other domestic duties. So that was the urban culture which was depicted. So that is all about the first unit. We got the idea about the first printed books, and these are the assignments. You would get these assignments in the description as well. Thank you and have a great day. Bye bye.